The Raiders roll into the mini-bye fresh off the Thursday night football loss. Where do they go from here? Hall of Fame cornerback Eric Allen gives his thoughts. Plus, we recap the game with Raider Nation Radio's Q Myers. And NFL Media's Omar Ruiz is talking big picture for the Raiders. The Silver and Black Show starts now. Welcome into the Silver and Black Show, everybody. I'm Amber Theoharis. There is a lot to unpack after the Raiders lose 10-7 to the Denver Broncos on primetime. What needs to happen during this mini-bye for them not only to get back in the win column, to put this franchise in the best position to win going forward long term? And to break it all down for us, we welcome in our first guest, my good friend Omar Ruiz from NFL Media. Omar, so good to see you. How are you, my friend?
Well, Amber, great to hear from you. Joining you live from, if you remember your days at NFL Network, what's the quietest place to be at NFL Network Monday through Saturday?
Probably the green room. Is that where you are?
Well, it's green screen for the Red Zone studios.
Oh.
Obviously, Scott Hansen and everybody take over here on Sundays, but the rest of the week, it's pretty quiet. So I'm happy to join you here and talk that exciting Raiders-Broncos game.
Yeah, it was tough. And let's in honor of Scott Hansen, let's go octabox on this, because there's a lot of different things that we can talk about right now. But from a national perspective, first I just want to hear what you took away from that game, because look, it was kind of a turning point. The Raiders come in at 2-6. They're facing a divisional opponent, the leader of the division, and they lose by 3 points. So what did you see in that game?
Well, I think my takeaway from a Raiders perspective is that they're far away from actually competing in the division. And you can see the foundation or the pillars of what Pete Carroll and the competitive edge that he likes to establish, that you're getting closer to seeing that. You're seeing some of the tenets of that, evidence of that, the fact that they fought so hard in a short week and adverse conditions against a really good team. Another takeaway, kind of in looking at the Broncos, is how quickly things can turn when you get the right coach, the right quarterback, young pieces that develop. Obviously, the Broncos defense is very good. You saw a Raiders defense play inspired football. They kept them in the game, obviously, and you kind of look at some of these numbers, how outlandish seemingly they were with more penalties than first downs. And, the last time the Raiders had, I saw this stat, 11 plus penalties or more with 10 or fewer first downs, they lost 27-0 in 1991 in New Orleans. So the fact that they're in the game, despite those kind of numbers, sort of tip your cap to the Raiders defense for showing up in a big way. But yeah, there's all kinds of things to look at that, some positive, mostly negative, but again, the competitiveness, the willingness to fight, even in those conditions, I think are things that you can point to in the future, that, maybe that are getting established in the 2025 season.
I like that you said you see the pillars of what Pete Carroll and John Spytek are trying to build. In your opinion, going forward, what needs to be added to complete this foundation to keep building?
Well, I think depth everywhere, talent upgrade. I think, coming into the 25 season, I think they were optimistic, of course, because Pete Carroll is Mr. Optimism, and the vision that John Spytek has for this team, Tom Brady, for this team, it's all going in the right direction, and they're trying to build it the right way. But I think when you have a lot of, aging veterans that they were kind of counting on, you're hoping that they can get one more career year out of them, and it doesn't always work out that way. And then you talk about then leaning on younger players, and they have to develop, and you have to give them time to do that. So they're kind of caught in between there, knowing that they wanted to compete now. And Pete Carroll talking about, he wins 10 games every year. So, they were going for it, but also kind of rebuilding. And in the NFL, Amber, that it doesn't always work like that. It's kind of got to go one way or the other. And we're seeing that play out with the Raiders season, where you see some sort of flashes at times, but as far as the ability to win games, they're lacking short. And kind of when you talk about kind of where do they go from here, it's got to be in the trenches, and I think we saw that last night with the, Pete Carroll talking after the game. They wanted to take their deep shots. They wanted to go to Brock Bowers. They had all that, but with that offensive line banged up, there just wasn't time. And especially against a Denver Broncos defense, which the last couple of years under Vance Joseph had just been relentless attacking the quarterback. And I got to Geno Smith, banged him up, 6 sacks last night. You talk about, fortifying that offensive line and obviously, continuing to build, up front defensively. I think that's where they're going. And I think that's where their attention will lie as they continue to build this roster. But it takes time to lay that foundation, and they're in the process and the growing pains of doing that.
And set yourself up for success in the long run, kind of like the Lions did. We saw Dan Campbell come in and slowly build that. By year 3, though, they were competitors. Then we've also seen teams like the Commanders or the Texans in recent years where they kind of had this really quick success because they got a good young quarterback, but then took a step back the following year. So the key is to try to build the foundation, as we say. And obviously, you talk about the quarterback, okay? So we saw Geno Smith. We've seen him now through these 9 games. What do you think happens during the mini bye? I mean, in your opinion, do you stick with Geno Smith? We know Pete Carroll is loyal to him, believes in him, but we also know AOC is healthy now, and Kenny Pickett didn't appear to be an option. So that told us a lot too last night.
Yeah, I mean, I still go with Geno Smith. I think, that pass to Dante Thornton Jr., the drop ball, that if that's completed, then I think that the dynamic of the game changes. And I think Geno Smith has that capability to hang tough in the pocket. And despite getting beat up, you saw him, play through a bunch of adversity and injury and continue to make plays, or at least try. And obviously his interceptions have been a problem this year, very much a concern. But when you're kind of under duress like that, the favorite target in Bowers been out much of the early part of the year. I don't think any quarterback would have much success in those circumstances. So for me, these next 10 days on the back end, having a Monday night game, so it's an extra, little bit of rest for them to get healthy. Try to make that a push in the second half, establish that competitive identity again. And but I think you hang with Geno Smith for as long as he can kind of continue to deliver those passes on the money. But the receivers have to do their part too.
I love that competitive identity, and I think that is what they're trying to do now. Obviously, they're not going to make the playoffs, or it would be highly unlikely at this point. You had a chance to you were covering the Cardinals-Cowboys game the other night, so you got to look at the Cowboys. I know they have Quinnen Williams now, so a little bit of a boost to what's been a very bad defense, but what will you be looking for in that matchup on Monday Night Football with the Raiders?
Yeah, to see if the Raiders can do what the Cardinals defense did. Was the Cowboys, have that highly charged, potent offense, very explosive, especially with CeeDee Lamb back now, and they're trying to get Javonte Williams going. But the Cardinals did a good job bottling them up, and I think the pieces are in place for the Raiders to do much of the same. But obviously, you got to score points and try to get that offense going, for the Raiders. But again, we talked about them trying to get healthy. But if they could take advantage, and like you mentioned, they have Quinnen Williams now. They also traded for Logan Wilson, so trying to fortify that unit for the Cowboys defense. But I think that's an opportunity at home on Monday night. Max Crosby's going to try to show out in prime time in front of the nation once again. So I think that's a very winnable game. And again, just to try to build some of that more momentum in the second half of the season and try to carry that into 2026. I know it's probably hard for Raiders fans at this point. I saw, this is the, third out of 4 years that they've been 2-7 or worse at this point. And, so I would imagine, frustration is out there when you're talking about momentum for the next season again already, but that's just the reality of the situation. But a win against Dallas on Monday night, I think would go a long way to establishing what could be, maybe a salvaging of hope for the second half of this season.
Omar Ruiz, it's always good to talk football with you. It was good to reminisce a little bit, and take care of Scott Hansen's seat. Keep it warm for him there. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Amber. Great to hear from you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Omar. Coming up, the recap continues as we talk to Raider Nation Radio's Q Myers next on the Silver and Black Show.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
Is there something more fabulous? I need something to chase, something to melt this face. I need Las Vegas. It's too much and never enough. Oh, welcome to fabulous. It's spectacular, outrageous, impossible stuff. You'll stop and yell, welcome to fabulous.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you, and so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
How about totally obsessed? We created a cocktail that requires 7 unique ingredients. The most important one, 1800 tequila. Just as obsessed with taste and quality as we are. The world's most awarded tequila, proudly poured at the world's best bar.
The Silver and Black Show is brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights, only at Allegiant.com. Victory Live, connecting the world of live experiences. And by 1800 Tequila, official partner of the Raiders. Taste is everything. Please drink responsibly. We talk a lot about the Raiders being competitive, and over the last 2 games, they've lost by a collective 4 points. That is competitive, but as my good friend Q Myers said, a lot of these were self-inflicted wounds that happened against the Denver Broncos, and I want to bring him in to talk about it now. And Raider Nation Radio's Q Myers. Q, you can tell I'm a fan. I listened to your podcast. That's where I got that from earlier this morning. And I said, man, that's a great way to put it, right? You know, self-inflicted. They could have won this game against the division leader, and we're focusing so much, I think, in the analysis of what the Raiders don't have and why they lost and what's wrong, rather than, you know, they can clean up some stuff and win some games.
Yeah, they really can. And it's a disappointment that they didn't win that game because, like you said, it was very winnable. And if it wasn't for them hurting themselves, they do win that game. Look, Denver has a really good defense. We knew that going into the game, but their offense was really nothing to write home about. And the Raiders just hurt the Raiders. If it was penalties by the rookies that took away big plays, like a Ashton Genty 32-yard run or a Trey Tucker touchdown, right? I mean, those were kind of plays. AJ Cole getting a punt blocked. Daniel Carlson, who we call Cash Money Carlson, missing another field goal. I mean, and that's just a couple of the, you know, self-inflicted wounds that they had. Getting Geno Smith, sacked 6 times on the night. I mean, just so many different things that they did to themselves that they could really clean up is the reason why they lose this game. Oh, by only 3 points. I mean, and the defense put in a heck of a performance. Like, if you get a punt blocked in your own territory and the Broncos have the ball 1st and 10 from their 12 and they only end up with a field goal, that's a job well done by the defense. And the Raiders, unfortunately, couldn't capitalize on that.
What did you see from this defense that was really a big change from the Jaguars game till the Broncos game, which was just, what, a 5-day span?
Yeah, it just looked like they were flying around and they were actually tackling, right? I mean, they had so many missed tackles against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it's just something that's not normal for this Raiders defense. They're normally able to get around and clean up these, the tackling, and they just, for some reason, maybe it's because they came off the bye against Jacksonville where they weren't, I don't know, in a rhythm of getting tackles. I don't know what it was, but they definitely cleaned that up against the Broncos, and they held them to under 100 yards rushing, and we know that that's what Sean Payton wants to do. They got 2 interceptions by Caillou Blue Kelly. I mean, there's so many things they did right, but ultimately they didn't do enough right to win the game, and that's, again, so unfortunate because I thought the defense put in a heck of a performance.
They did, and the offense did not give them any help whatsoever. And the glaring stat from that game is that Brock Bowers, your all-world tight end, had 3 targets. He had 1 catch.
Yeah.
Most of the targets went to Tyler Lockett. What did you make of that? Because I don't necessarily buy they were going to double team Brock Bowers, so we had to go somewhere else. You still go to your playmaker. I can remember Devontae Adams saying, if you wait till I'm not double teamed, you'll never throw me the ball. So you got to get the ball to him.
Yes, you're spot on, and he was spot on when he said that as well. And there was times that Brock was open. Geno just didn't get him the ball. So, yeah, there was no reason why your best playmaker, especially now that you don't have Jacoby Myers anymore, only gets 3 targets. You have to figure that out as a quarterback. You have to figure that out as a play caller. Pete Carroll said after the game that there was, plays dialed up for Brock to get him. But for some reason, the ball didn't go that way. And I promise you, looking at some of the film, seeing some of the Baldy breakdowns after the game and seeing how Brock was open, and they might not be open for long, but Amber, in the National Football League, there's a window. You're open and then you're not. And so you as a quarterback have to be able to deliver that rock and understand, hey, he's going to be open for a quick second, and that's when the ball needs to be there delivered on time. And you hold the ball too long, like they say in dominoes, you study long, you study wrong.
Exactly. And look, if you've been watching any of the games, there seems to be what appears to maybe be a lack of quick decision making, quick release, that kind of thing. But as James Jones said in our post-game show, maybe it's a lack of trust and kind of rapport with the receivers. You have that window open, you don't necessarily trust it. But does it appear to you too that it comes across almost like a lack of quick decision making, which we've seen Geno Smith do well with other teams?
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. I don't think he trusts the offensive line, his protection. And, again, you're going up against the Denver Broncos that lead the league in sacks, and now they really lead the league in sacks with 46 total. I think that he knew he was going to have to get that ball out of his hand quickly. And even with that being said, he still didn't really get it out of his hand as quickly as possible. And the one guy that got the most targets was the guy that he's most comfortable with, right? Tyler Lockett, the guy who's only been with the team for a handful of minutes, but he got the most targets because, Geno has that familiarity with them, so he targeted him. But look, he's got to get the ball to Brock Bowers. There's just that's not negotiable, right? You have to get the ball to 89. You've been talking about for the 3 weeks that he was out, man, no Brock. He without him, this offense isn't going to go anywhere. And now you have him back and he has one great game. And then it's like, all right, well, now we're not going to feature him because everyone's keying in on him. Yeah, that's all right. He's elite. Right, elite guys are going to get open. They're going to find a way to get the ball, and they're going to make plays. And between Ashton and Brock, those guys should be doing all the heavy lifting, as far as I'm concerned, with this Raiders offense. And it just wasn't, it wasn't there on Thursday night.
And we have to remember there was no Patrick Surtain back there. There was their best player wasn't back there. So knowing that, and Brock still only gets 3 targets, that kind of it's hard to digest. But going forward, this team very well. You're very close to the team. What is your sense? You have to think Pete Carroll, no matter how loyal he is to Geno Smith and how much he believes in him, he has to evaluate what's happening at the quarterback position, especially now that Aiden O'Connell is available. What do you foresee happening at the quarterback position with this team?
I think that there's a real possibility that there could be a move happening soon. I don't think it's going to happen right away. And, if he had just gone out there and stunk it up on Thursday night, I could see them preparing Aiden or Kenny Pickett for Monday against the Dallas Cowboys. But Geno didn't necessarily stink it up. He had moments where he was good. There's moments where the Raiders team let him down. There was moments that the offensive line let him down. I don't think it was all on him. Now, of course, the injury to the quad is something to pay attention to, but they've got like a little bit of a mini bye since they close out Week 11 on Monday Night Football against the Cowboys at Allegiant. So I think that Geno will be able to go, but I would not be shocked at all in the next few weeks if you hear Aiden O'Connell is activated, because that 21-day window is open and, he's been practicing, but he hasn't been added to the roster yet. I would not be shocked at all if you hear that Aiden O'Connell or Kenny Pickett is going to get a start in the next, couple weeks or so.
And I do want to give Geno Smith a shout out for playing tough and coming back in and wanting to be out there and playing hurt. You got to like seeing that. You have talked a lot on Raider Nation Radio about Daniel Carlson. This is a guy that was a shoo-in. You could put all your money, put the house on it back in the day. What's going on? And do some decisions need to be made to correct this kicking game? And there's not a lot of options.
No, there's not a lot of options. And like I said before, Cash Money Carlson is what we called him all these years because that's who he's been. And he just hasn't been that this year. And really, even going back to last year, you started to see a little bit of breakdown in what was going on with him. I'm concerned because, man, when a kicker starts to get in their own head, you know how that goes. It goes south really quickly. I mean, hell, look at the Denver Broncos punter from Thursday night. I mean, if you want to talk about a dude that was in his head, I mean, this guy, I've never seen some punts like that. I don't think
true.
Carlson. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Daniel Carlson is there yet, but I could see him on the sideline. You could see him sitting there next to A.J. Cole, and they just kind of had that look on his face and holding his head down. He's thinking about it. And once kickers start to think about it, man, they are a different creature. So you've got to really hope that he can snap out of it quicker, sooner rather than later. But, I mean, you miss an extra point against the Jaguars, right? You have a block kick earlier this year against the Bears. Then you have this one that's 48 yards that's very makeable by you, and you miss it wide right. I mean, it's just I think everything's starting to pile up. And, look, Amber, he's in a contract year, and that could be weighing heavily on him as well. Right. I mean, he could be thinking about, man, this kick might determine if I'm going to get an extension or not. My guy, A.J. Cole, got an extension. I haven't. I'm in a contract year. So there's so much that could be going on through his head right now. And that's unfortunate because, man, he has been a solid kicker for the Raiders for some years.
It just seems like across the board, the offense and the special teams, especially going into Dallas, need to get a wave of confidence like we saw from the defense. If the defense came out and played the way they played, you can turn it around. We just need to see that confidence and the decision to make the change of some of the things we're seeing that's unacceptable. So, Q, I could talk to you forever, but I love listening to you on Raider Nation Radio. I'll tune in to get your opinions on all things Raiders. Thanks a lot for being here with us.
All the time. Appreciate you. Love being on your show.
All right. Coming up, we're going to talk defense with Hall of Famer and former Raiders cornerback Eric Allen. He joins the show next.
Is there something more fabulous? I need something to chase, something to melt this face. I need Las Vegas. It's too much and never enough. Oh, welcome to fabulous. It's spectacular, outrageous, impossible stuff. You'll stop and yell, welcome to fabulous.
How about totally obsessed? We created a cocktail that requires 7 unique ingredients. The most important one, 1800 tequila. Just as obsessed with taste and quality as we are. The world's most awarded tequila, proudly poured at the world's best bar.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you, and so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
Lose 10-7 to the Broncos. Now we have to look to the future. They're 2-7. Decisions need to be made. And also, how do they get some wins at the end of the season to start to build what Pete Carroll's trying to do? To talk more about it, let's bring in my co-pilot, Eric Allen, who's been working all day. I know you've been talking all over the nation about the Raiders and kind of where we go from here. We talked about it on Raiders game day the other night with James Jones as well. So let's start with the bigger picture, okay? Because, of course they want to win going forward. They want to win as many games as possible. But big picture, where do they go from here? Like, what are the first steps in continuing to build the franchise long term?
Hey, Amber, it's great to be with you. I think we're starting to see those moves made with the trade of Jacoby and acquiring those picks for the future. And we need to evaluate and seem to develop these younger players on our football team while still giving guys like Max a platform to be great and to reach his potential. Offensively right now, it's just kind of been an up and down year, just like defense. I mean, you look at the defensive performance yesterday, and you could take that any week. It's just we haven't been consistent, and that's just from just a lack of primetime players being able to make those plays in critical time. So I think we're on the road to the future, but based on the moves that are made and the moves that are going to continue to be made.
It's interesting when you look around the league, there were a couple of, free agents, or I know Geno Smith wasn't a free agent, they had to trade for him, but quarterbacks, let's call them second act quarterbacks, I start to call them, right? And we see what Daniel Jones is doing with the Colts. We see what Sam Darnold did with the Vikings and is now doing with the Seahawks. And the belief was that would be Geno Smith, who was coming off a couple good years there in Seattle, actually his best years of his career in Seattle. What do you think coming out of this mini bye we are going to see from Geno Smith? First, we hope he's healthy.
Right.
It didn't sound the other night like Pete Carroll was going to move away from him, but we're not sure about that. But what do you expect here in kind of the second half of the season?
Well, that's a great question. And one, I think the message from Pete was one that kind of, it's called coach speak, basically. You're trying to tell your locker room, don't panic right now, that we have those things under control. You saw how we were able to get the defense going with a bad performance. We think we can do that with Geno. But the injury really gives us a situation where you have to find a way to get that backup quarterback ready to go. If you're going to have the message around this building talking about compete in the most important position on offense, you're not really competing like that. With the short week, it's kind of difficult to get Kenny Pickett or whoever's going to be that backup guy an opportunity to come in and have the full playbook at his disposal. So with this long week, there's no doubt about it, including the injury, that backup quarterback, whether it's going to be Kenny or you're going to bring AOC off of IR, someone has to be there to give this Raiders organization an opportunity to take advantage of either Brock Bowers or the offensive line doing well.
Yeah, remember, it was AOC that had that rapport with Brock Bowers that led to his phenomenal rookie season. I mean, we can't forget about some of those facts. But
that's right.
Looking at what Chip Kelly is trying to do, we talked, about the Jaguars game, and we talked about the first 15 scripted plays. We've talked about, not seeing Ashton Genty enough early on. But I'll tell you, we spoke about this. I'm kind of confused. I mean, it's like, one day it seems like the first scripted plays really include Ashton Genty, kind of like last night we saw that early. And then the other time it's like they're not a running team. So what should this team be as far as identity on offense?
Well, and that's really the key there. I thought, and JJ pointed this out early in the game, I thought we had a great push up front for the most part until the injuries hit us. So if you're having a push and you're able to run the football effectively, well, of course you want to be a run-dominant football team, because that does a couple things, as you know, is it takes the ball away. We win the time of possession battle, and it's really getting the opportunity to get the offensive line in a really confident situation. And then Ashton can kind of do his thing. He is really a smooth operator when he has opportunities to really bounce it or bend it back. He has a really good feel for the offensive line when you get that push. Now, when those injuries happen, almost automatically we got the Denver pressure again. And then it came back down to the passing game. And that's where I think really Geno has struggled for the most part this year. And it's like a great baseball player in a slump. And I think that's what Geno's dealing with right now. I think he's dealing with a slump. When you're a quarterback and you're throwing interceptions, it's really difficult to have confidence that you can throw guys open, even though you have the great Brock Bowers. So I think it's really a combination of a couple things. Chip wants to be able to run the football effectively, obviously, and something that's been difficult for him based on the offensive line, just lack of consistency. And then you want to be able to take advantage of those things, taking shots down the football field. We had a couple shots down the football field with our young receiver, a drop ball here, a missed block here. So those opportunities that we want to be able to throw the football based off of play action, and we get those chances, you get a sack, you get a drop ball, and it all kind of comes back to just a young football team not being able to take advantage of the opportunities given in those situations where Chip Kelly has dialed up the correct play.
You're a Hall of Fame defender. What do you make of the fact that kind of week to week we can see a really great performance like we did? I mean, to hold the division leaders to 10 points, my goodness, we'll take that any day. It was a great performance.
Yeah.
They went from 2 weeks ago, you and I are sitting there going, what is going on with the tackling? 15 missed tackles to just 8 last night.
Yeah.
How do you characterize, is it just adjustments by Patrick Graham? You give him a lot of credit. Is it just they're still young, and so we're going to see flashes but not ready for the consistency yet? What is going on there?
Yeah, and another chance for us football guys to see, hey, man, it's a great job. It comes down to sometimes your opponent, right? Mm-hmm. We don't sometimes give enough of credit to the opponent by making it difficult in those situations, dealing with running backs who can make guys miss in a phone booth, as our guy JJ would say. I just think the Denver Broncos gave us a great opportunity to get back to fundamentally sound football. You had a week where you couldn't do a lot on the football field as far as the physical preparation, so they really honed in on the mental part of the game, and you start to see how they're trying to attack you as a defense, and that slows the process down. Obviously, the tackling is about individuals taking it on their own. They've had so many tackling drills since they've gotten here, based on high school, college. I mean, you spend so much time in tackling drills, and sometimes it's really about the big hit, and you have to show those things on film, like I'm pretty sure PG did, to say, listen, we don't really care about the big hit. We want to get the guy on the ground. Go back to your fundamentals. Find out how you want to get this guy on the ground. We got to rally around, use our techniques and our leverage and things like that. So that thing was settled. But I think what happens sometimes is we just believe that we're supposed to go on the football field and be perfect. There's really no perfect plays. You have to find out how to practice perfectly. If you can't practice perfectly, get it into film room, find out what you're doing wrong, take those things to account. And I think we saw a lot of that during the game on Thursday.
What do you think of the young corner, Caillou Blue Kelly? Evaluate him for me.
Well, again, he is a young player who is trying to find his way in this defense. Pete Carroll's defense, they want you to do a lot of disguising up front, early part of the downs, where you're going to be in a kind of press technique look, but when you have deep thirds, you're going to have to bail. And when you're bailing, you have to have a vision on the receiver and the quarterback. And I think yesterday we saw a really good job of this young man kind of understanding what his responsibilities were. And all the time, you're just trying to take away routes. Obviously, if the quarterback's going to try and throw it deep, and if you're in cover 3, that should be an interception. Check mark. That was a great job. And then on the in-cutting route, he was in perfect position. That quarterback had to layer it through a couple defenders, and if you don't do that, he has to throw the ball up a little high. You have a tip or overthrow, things like that again, and you make the quarterback play. So this is week 10, and he's seen the things that he has done wrong. The most important thing that I saw was he was a starter, and then he went out, came back in, so he was able to kind of keep that attention span even though he was being taken out, and still a challenge there between him and Porter. So I think right now he's in a really good spot kind of understanding what's expected of him, and as long as he continues to make that quarterback play when he makes a mistake, I think he's on the right track.
When a team is 2-7, you do start to look to the future, right?
Yeah.
It just is what it is. But what would be kind of the best case scenario for the Raiders going forward for the remainder of the season? I know Omar Ruiz came on the show a little bit earlier, and he kind of said you're trying to build that, competitive pedigree.
Yeah.
You might want to say, hey, you want a high draft pick, and I hate that because these are men going out there. This is their job to win now and to play hard. And for the record, this college quarterback draft class is kind of questionable this year. It's not a very strong one. So the answer might not be there either before
You're
people
right.
say, we hope we have a high draft pick. So how important is it, especially with Pete Carroll, to kind of build that competitive culture and by getting some key wins? I mean, they're still going to play some divisional games coming up here.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that. And the Kansas City Chiefs loss, we got on, and I said that was a game or organizational loss, meaning now people in the building are going to start to make sure that their jobs are fulfilled, meaning the personnel people are going to start to see, hey, these young draft picks that we drafted, we got to see how they're going to play and how they're going to be for the future for us. So you, of course, as a player on the football field, you're all about winning, and that is going to continue to be the mindset. Coaching-wise, if you hear Coach Pete talk about the competitiveness and how he loved how Geno was able to, wanted to get back in the game. And so from the coach's standpoint, they're all about what you're going to try and do to build that culture. So everyone right now in this building is trying to make sure the evaluators, they have to evaluate the players and find out if those players are going to be a part of this organization going forward. The folks who are in the draft process, they're starting to look at the drafts and, how can we accumulate draft picks to help this football team for the future? So I think we're on to that point right now based on what I'm hearing out of the coaching staff, what I'm hearing from the personnel department, the draft picks we're trying to acquire. So everyone's about, yes, we want to win week to week, and that's always going to be the focus of those young guys and those football players in the locker room. But as far as the organization around it, they're going forward trying to evaluate who's on our team, those draft capital players. So it's right now we're in that mode where, of course, we want to win football games and be competitive against Dallas and the Browns and the Chargers. We want to beat those guys and make it difficult for them to go on for the rest of their season. But for the rest of the folks in this building, they're going forward trying to evaluate this football team for the future.
And like the bright spots are you see people like Caillou, Blue, Kelly stepping up in those little moments are saying, okay, we're taking you into the future.
That's
and
right.
That's an opportunity for a lot of these young guys that we're going to see coming up here. All right, EA, it's always good to talk to you, my friend. I'll see you coming up on Raiders game day after the Dallas game on Monday night.
For sure. Take care, Amber.
All right. Coming up, it's one last thing on the Silver and Black Show.
Is there something more fabulous? I need something to chase, something to melt this face. I need Las Vegas. It's too much and never enough. Oh, welcome to fabulous. It's spectacular, outrageous, impossible stuff. You'll stop and yell, welcome to fabulous.
How about totally obsessed? We created a cocktail that requires 7 unique ingredients. The most important one, 1800 tequila. Just as obsessed with taste and quality as we are. The world's most awarded tequila, proudly poured at the world's best bar.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you, and so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
The Silver and Black Show has been brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights, only at Allegiant.com. And by Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Las Vegas Raiders and the NFL. As the Raiders prepare for the Cowboys next Monday night, we wanted to take the time to acknowledge the death of Dallas defensive end Marshawn Kneeland, who died by an apparent suicide Thursday morning. He was just 24 years old. We send our condolences to the Cowboys and everyone who knew Marshawn. No doubt this is a terrible tragedy, and it hits close to home for so many of you and many of us around football. In the wake of Kneeland's death, Nebraska head coach Matt Rule gave us all a poignant reminder.
The tragic news out of Dallas today, and understanding that none of us know what people are going through. That's why I think we all should be careful about what we say to people. I think we should be careful what we tweet about people. I think we should be cognizant of what everyone's going through. And I told our players they should take their headphones off in the cafeteria and sit down with someone and be like, how you doing, man? What's going on with you? Because somebody that we're talking to, that we're saying, what's wrong with that guy? Man, that guy's messed up. Instead of saying what's wrong with him, we should all say, I wonder what would happen to him, because everyone's suffering. I've given the eulogy for players of mine who've had the same thing happen. And so it's just, you never know what people are going through. And I will forever, the rest of my life, think about the time that I saw Adrian Robinson right before he took his own life. And I saw him on campus. And I was walking this way, and he was way over there. And I was like, I need to catch up with Adrian, because he had got done playing. And a week later, he left this world. And a month later, I was given the eulogy. And I just wish in my life I could go back and just stop and say, hey, how you doing? And so it's not really what you asked, but it's on my heart. And I just share it with the team, like, I just think it's a time in this world for us to be kind to people, and at the same time care about people and ask about people. I encourage everybody today, with your own kids or the people you work with, just check on them, because that young man scored a touchdown just a couple days ago, and on the outside world you'd think he's at the pinnacle, but he's dealing with something, and I don't know what it was, but I pray for him and his family. So.
And there's no doubt many of you are struggling right now as you're listening to this. You are not alone. And if you need help or are experiencing a mental health crisis, please call the number that we're putting up on the screen. It's the Suicide Prevention Hotline. Very easy number, 988-988. We want to remind you, your life is of value, and there can be light again. That'll do it for us. Enjoy the mini bye, and we're going to see you guys Monday for Cowboys Raiders at Allegiant. Have a great weekend, everyone.